Yeah, so we've got a couch, we've got microphones. I have a 5th grade reading comprehension. Let's do a Q&A. First of all, let's give a big round of applause to all the filmmakers tonight. It was a great showing. We've got David Fian and Catherine Vilguth here of CAPTCHA. You just watched them upstairs. I'll start with you, David. How did this film come together? Kind of where did the idea come from for the film?
It was during COVID when everyone was kind of like locked in their homes and everyone was working from home and spending way too much time online, and feeling isolated and then questioning our own humanities and realities and existence, right? We all did that. I did. I did come to a CAPTCHA test online and I was like, how does the computer even know? How do I even know? And I said this, we had a panel earlier, but I literally went and put on the soundtrack for Blade Runner 2049 and I just wrote to that, which is very, very like, bah! So that's what I was doing. And I just kind of like in a stream of conscience wrote the narration for it. Kind of, that was the driving thing, and then structured everything around that.
And was there any, like through the I guess where it was written over the pandemic, was there any of the sort of rising AI concerns sort of going through your head when you were thinking of the concept? I mean, that's become more timely now. No.
Sorry to no, I wasn't thinking too much about that. I was literally just thinking about Blade Runner.
Great. Okay. Sometimes the answer is no. It's a question. Sometimes the answer is no. Catherine, what was it like working on this film? I know you've worked in several genres at this point as an actor. What was the experience with this film?
I feel like by the time we got to the shooting days, we had done so much planning and my head was in the producer's mind and like craft services and transit and all the things. So by the time I was like actually acting, it felt really easy and like, thank God we had done rehearsals before, but David really guided me through it. I'm not a big sci-fi person. So having David like explain to me and like we watched Blade Runner together because I had not seen it. It was really smooth and it felt normal, and I love David's writing because it just feels like it is really natural. So for me it was easy and fun and smooth.
Great. And both of you did a balancing act with your responsibilities on set, like producing and acting and directing and acting. Do you have any like tips or takeaways from this? I know you've both done it several times, but is it getting easier, or are there any tips for people who are because in independent film you often do have to wear those multiple hats?
I mean, my first tip is have someone who does more of the work.
But I think the collaboration is so helpful. Like there's so much stuff that I didn't have to worry about because I could just have Catherine worry about it. So yeah, if you can have partners that you're great with collaborating together and you can really help each other and pick up the slack where the other person is dropping, you know what I mean? Someone else picks up the slack. That's a part of it. Is it getting harder? I would say because the films that I'm making are getting more challenging to make, you'd think it'd be getting easier because I'm doing it more, but then the next film it's like, oh, well, now this is more complicated because of this. So you're it's always on the edge of not being able to do it. It does feel that. I feel like I'm on the edge of not being able to do it each time, and then it works, and I'm like, oh, God, I'll do it easier next time. But then the film itself requires more, so it's kind of this always happening.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the the definition of when people say you're an ambitious filmmaker, right? That's that teetering and looking down at the edge of your own destruction, but then a little staircase appears, and you just
And it feels like it. Like I was like the week before, like I wasn't sleeping. I didn't do that. You're stressed.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
There was no sleep, and I said it earlier before, but like we were still in the midst of COVID. Like the week leading up to it, we had 4 or 5 people on the crew drop out, and there was no one, or it seemed like no one to take over because the other people who we wanted to take over were covering for people who were sick on other film sets in the city. Like it was really stressful. And I would say those were the times leading up to the shoot that I was like, watching David stress and not sleep. And I was like, man, is this worth it? Like that was the real stressful part. But I think we did get through it, and the shooting days were so positive all the way through, despite there being stress. But we did get through it.
Great. That's all.
We're here.
We're here. We're doing it. No rules. David, you recently mentioned you have a web series that's sort of moving into production. It's already
done production.
Done production. It's in post, is it?
It's in post. It's called Department of Paranormal Affairs, and it's kind of like a world in which vampires and werewolves and ghosts and everything are real, but they're just like members of society. And so this is like the department of the government department that kind of facilitates them living among us peacefully. So it's like a little kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but like the X-Files and kind of like Parks and Rec. We got 6 10-minute episodes. We shot in March and April. And yeah, we're in post-production now. So hopefully in the fall, that'll be out doing stuff, out to sea.
Out to sea.
Out to
as
sea.
They say in the biz.
We all say it. You've heard it.
I say it every day.
Yeah.
But how was moving from like going from short films into a web series? Like, is there a lot of carryover or crossover between the two?
I feel like because they're only 10-minute episodes, it kind of felt like six short films, which was very manageable and comfortable to do. So that was kind of the easy in terms of writing it. I was like, oh, this is like, yeah, it's a short film. And I mean, the characters come in, they're kind of like Mulder and Scully, right? They come in and this is happening and this is the short film thing and they're interacting with it. So it was like 6 short films and the characters just went throughout. And it's very procedural. So, there isn't really an overarching thing except the characters kind of grow throughout it. So a little bit,
Okay.
But yeah, it should be fun. I hope people see it and like it.
Great. Well, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
And one more question for the two of you. You both studied acting, but even more than that, you both studied acting together in the same program. Sort of?
Not really. No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Not the same program, but the same school,
same
different
school.
classes.
Oh, different classes. Okay. Well, did studying acting together and then kind of working or studying acting together but separately? You're both actors. I'm rewinding. You're both actors.
It's true.
Does that give you like a common language that you can sort of speak on set, like when you're moving speaking as a director to another actor? Like, does that give you a common language that you can kind of speak with?
Oh, our son is right there crying.
I'm sorry, I messed up this
okay.
question, Jack.
He slept
That's
through.
my bad.
He was in there. You probably saw him in the stroller, but he slept through all the films. He's an angel. He's the best. Hi, Jack. Does it give us a common language? I think so. But also, we've just worked together so long. We're also married in real life, so that helps too. Like we have the shorthand, right?
Yeah.
And as actors, probably. Too.
Yeah, I think as actors, for sure it has to, because we've done the acting classes and talked about like actions and objectives, and we understand what it's like to be an actor. So even from that perspective, I feel like being able to connect on that is so much easier than if we weren't.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a tangible example, but I can wholeheartedly say yes.
But sometimes I'll like this happens where I'll do a take and say to Catherine, like, was that good? And she'll just say, I didn't buy it. And I'm like, no, you're right, because I faked it. Like I faked that. I thought that would be funny if I did that. And I did it because I thought it would be funny, not because it was actually true. So she's the ultimate barometer for like, is that fake or is that actually good acting?
And we can give each other productive notes, because it's not like, oh, that was silly, be less silly. It's like we can give each other productive notes to change and be better.
Yes, that could be great. Not just do it better.
Yeah.
But yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Catherine and
Thank you.
David.
Thank
Again.
you.
And now I'll invite up Andy Bullman and Veronica Diamond. Get up here, Andy. You know you want to sit on the couch. Everybody loves the couch. This is the networking part of the Q&A. It's an important part of the Q&A.
The first movie I ever worked on with David and Catherine's movie. I did costumes on a short that they did like 6 years ago. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
I haven't seen them since, so this is nice.
That was my first time meeting them.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, so Andy Bowman of Dead Wife Club
Woo! Yay!
and Veronica Diamond of Meet the Creatures.
Yay!
Congratulations, you two. Both of you have worked in stand-up comedy. That's also how we know each other. How did at all your stand-up experience work in your favor in creating these films?
No.
Okay. Andy?
No, not for me either. No. Sketch though. I think sketch definitely. You can see a sketch influence. I think in Dead Wife Club, you can see like a back and forth. I think the whip pans we used in Floordrobe and Shara Loves from That 70s Show. And I think you can definitely see a sketch influence, but I wouldn't say a stand-up influence the way the film was shaped at all.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't really. I mean, in terms of trying to tell a joke, I guess stand-up helps with that. I guess. But in terms of telling a story, stand-up, I guess you can have storyteller stand-ups, but that's not really, my stand-up's not very storyteller-ish. Or is it? I don't really know. Don't listen to a lot of my stuff. Anyway, it helped in writing some of the jokes, I guess.
I think that good answer. Such a good answer. Really good answer.
The more you say it, the less I believe it.
No, I didn't mean it.
We're friends. We're friends in real life. But not after this.
The thing that I think we took from stand-up, or I'll speak for myself, but I think that like what makes a joke successful is subversion, surprise. So we don't know where it's going, and then someone says something really unexpected, and that is something that I learned through stand-up. And I think we see it in like we don't know what Andy's gonna say, and he really shocks us with what he's gonna say. And I think I see it in yours at the end when Stacey's character, I'm gonna have to call it Stacey's character. Stacey's, you are a voice actor. I had no idea.
Stacey, my real life partner, is in the back and very, very shy. Please don't look at her. But she provided the voice of Julia/Julia.
So good. I was like, I had no idea that Stacey had secret voice acting talent.
She's amazing. She's
I know,
incredible.
she is amazing. Her hair looks great. But the very last moment when the joke is like, oh, parents are super homophobic, though, that's like, I felt like that came from your stand-up.
Yeah, absolutely. That came from my stand-up.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
We don't have any more time to answer any more questions.
No, we got. Listen, there's no rules. We're here forever. Get comfy, everybody.
If there's no rules, can Shara join us?
Of course.
Is that okay? Do you want to join us, Shara? Come on up. Shara directed the film, and I've been speaking for her a lot, and she did such a good job that I was
And
like,
there is a third mic already here. I mean,
yeah.
They're all here.
now
This was set up.
there's 5 mics.
Oh, see? That's, great. Moving on. Don't clap that. Don't clap that.
It's a thinker.
It's a thinker, a real thinker. It's because my name is Mike. Your films touch on really emotional ideas about life and relationships. Why did you decide to tell these stories the way that you did?
Is it okay if I'll go quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I told this story the way that I did because I had a friend who lost his wife it was very sudden. And we weren't expecting it, and it was shocking. It changed the course of our lives. We moved, and it really had a huge and dramatic impact. And something that I was really worried about while it was happening was that there were no spaces where people, there was nowhere for him to go. And something that I thought a lot, and I think he thought a lot, was where are his brothers in grief? Like are men at home grieving alone? And that propelled the thought of the film. So he's not a character in this at all. No one in the movie reflects his situation. and no one in the movie has his personality at all. But that's where the idea came from. It was something that I thought about for a long time, like why can't we talk about our feelings, and what would like an ideal grief circle look like? That's for him, and that's where it all took shape. Yeah.
And Shara, sort of receiving that script, how far into the process did you receive it, and how did you kind of choose to move forward with that same idea?
One day she sent me a 6-page script, and I read it and wrote her immediately and was like, what are you planning on doing with this? I want to direct it, and I have a producer. Let's do it.
It can happen. Yeah. Send it to everybody.
And then between the three of us, we put a lot of thought into it.
We're 4. We haven't mentioned Rodrigo yet.
Rodrigo
was our DP.
Get him up here. Yeah. We have no more mics.
We're short of mic.
Yeah.
But we all put a lot of love into the story. It was great because me and Ashley, the producer, put thoughts into it, and we would give our ideas to Andy, and then Andy would reproduce them in Andy's way. So it was like we gave our ideas, but Andy was still able to put them out as Andy and not as us. So it like really worked as a group.
And it was a story that like Cher had some relation to, where she kind of was like, I don't know if that makes sense, but there was definitely like Andy Jones's character felt like your dad at times.
Yeah. I grew up with a group of friends that were only guys. I was the one girl with a bunch of guy friends, and they all struggled with being able to show emotion, and it was always a big thing, and they always came to me, and they couldn't show emotion to each other. And so I really related to it because of my friends who I've been friends with them since grade 9. They're my brothers to this day. And so I really related to them because I know how hard it can be for men to show emotion. And I thought it was important. It's definitely in this day and age important for people. Like it's not, a men or a woman thing. Everybody grieves, and people shouldn't be afraid to speak about it.
Thought about it since we sort of wrote it as like, what would an ideal grief circle for men look like? But then I think as time passed, we were like, what would an ideal grief circle for people who have a tough parenting situation look like? Like people who grew up with parents that are like, rub dirt on it, suck it up. Like what would their grief circle look like? I think like now we sort of think of it as like that because anyone can grow up with that situation. And so, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can't rub dirt on your heart.
Yeah.
For Veronica, same thing. How did you approach this sort of emotional relationship story with what was your approach for coming at that?
So I made this for the 48-hour sci-fi challenge, and so it had to be sci-fi themed, and then I didn't have a lot of time to write it, so I just kind of came up with something that was kind of related to my own personal experience, because I'm a queer woman, and it's not always been an easy relationship with my parents. And I thought, what if we did that, but aliens? and so the emotions that came through in my story are real emotions of like how things sort of went in my life and how I wish things could have gone a little bit, and trying to create an uplifting story that also still feels real and honest, where nobody is really a villain, but there are some like very clear points of view on what is correct and what is not. So that's where my story came from, sort of. It was a desperate rush, basically.
A desperate rush, yeah. But did you find, because comedy does blend really well with other genres. Did you find anything in particular with sci-fi that sort of gelled with your type of storytelling and your type of comedy?
For this story, I thought it was really great to be able to tell a story with characters that have body types that are not like our standard ones that we see, because most movies and most things are made with humans. So I was like, let's try and create an alien character. It's still kind of humanoid. It's got the eye, but it's only got one eye instead of 2 eyes. And eyes are very important. So what if we only had the one? How do we express emotion? How do we express movement? in these creatures. So I wasn't able to explore that quite as much as I wanted to because of the limitations on the ability to animate everything. But I think that there is a lot of comedy ability in sci-fi because you can just do completely outrageous things. But at the heart of all sci-fi is still very human emotions. Like we're talking about aliens, but we're always talking about ourselves.
Great, thank you.
Great answer. I love the eyes. I thought they were so expressive.
Yes, there was so much in that eye, that one eye. Thank you. Thank you to our filmmakers for coming up
Thank
here
you
to
so
talk to
much.
us.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Big round of applause for everybody again
Thank you to
tonight.
the nickel.
Yeah, thank you,
Yay,
Nicole.
the nickel.